My husband and I live in Sweden. I moved there with my family when I was very young, as my mother is Swedish. However, he only moved here about 7 years ago. We were together for almost 6 years, and we married each other about 6 months ago. I found out I was pregnant about 2 months ago. I'm about 13 weeks pregnant now, and everything seems to be going well. All our tests have been clear so far, and I am healthy. My husband and I are both very happy, and I'm quite excited to be having a baby, although nervous. I was very nervous about pregnancy, hence why it was an accidental pregnancy, but so far it's been all right, other than the nausea. This was until my husband told me he wanted to move countries. I'm still a dual citizen of both Sweden and Belarus. My husband also is. However, I feel no need to go back there. The last time I did was when I was 13. I've lost most of my Russian, and I don't like the situation over there. Most of my family is here, and I've always felt more at home here than I ever have there. My husband explained he had applied for a job there, and he thinks we would have a better life there, and so would our child. I got really upset. I told him that he can't just make this decision for the both of us, and that I don't want to go back there. It scares me. I don't want my child in that environment, and I like the Swedish schools and way of life more. I knew my husband missed Belarus, but I never thought he wanted to go back. He got annoyed at me and said I wasn't thinking in the best interest of our child. I was honest and said that if he made me go back there, that I would divorce him and do everything I can to go back home, and that he can't make me, and that I'm not going and I won't go. He yelled at me and said that he was my husband, and that it's not up to me to decide how our life will be. I told him that he never said that was how he saw marriage, and he was being archaic. He seemed to calm down, but later when we were sleeping together, he got far too aggressive and his hands ended up on my throat. I managed to push him away. He didn't hurt me, but I was worried about the baby. But he then started for some reason complaining about how dramatic I was being about this whole pregnancy, and I seem to think it makes me entitled to decide everything. And he wasn't even being that rough. He's never acted like this before. It's like he thinks he can control my life and our future child's life. We're supposed to make decisions together, not just one of us. I'm starting to think I can't stay with him. It's not just about moving countries. It's the way he seems to think he's entitled to decide my whole life just because he's my husband. I've always thought that men have no more rights to make decisions than women in a marriage, as that's the point of a marriage. We're together. My brain is a mess right now. I'd always thought I loved him, but now I look at him and I realize that I just can't do this if he carries on like this, and I feel so stupid for not seeing it before. I don't know if it's the hormones or my own emotions becoming too involved, but I'm really doubting this right now. Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Don't go, especially with the situation in Ukraine at this time. You would be too close for comfort. We all don't know what Putin's next target is. Please stay where you are. It is much safer and nicer. Let him go. He is waving some massive red flags. Edit. After reading some of your comments, please pack up and go to your parents' house and make sure his name will not be on the birth certificate. I would be deathly afraid of him. Comment 2. Wow, leave. Choking is the most common form of spousal unalive. He has probably always felt this way about his and your roles in the marriage, but it has just never come to light until you disobeyed him. You are in a very vulnerable place right now, and you need to be very careful planning your exit strategy. Talk to your family. Stay safe. Now for the update. Thank you for tuning in again. So, things have been pretty busy since the last time. Remember how my husband wanted us to move to Belarus? Well, it's been very eventful. Just last week, he came home with plane tickets. He actually bought them without telling me. I was furious, and I mean, who does that? We had a huge fight, and I told him there was no way I was going with him. He said he thought I'd come around, but nope, not happening. Then, 2 days ago, my best friend told me she saw him with another woman. At first, I didn't believe her, but then she showed me a picture on her phone. It was him, clear as day, arm around some woman I've never seen before. My heart just sank. I confronted him about it, and he tried to lie at first, but eventually he admitted it. He said it was just a coworker, but I could tell he was lying. I felt so betrayed. I mean, we're supposed to be in this together, right? I've been staying with my sister since then. She's been great, helping me sort through all this mess. She reminded me of how independent I used to be before I met him. I had almost forgotten. Back when I was in university, I was so focused on my studies and my future, I never would have put up with any nonsense from anyone. It's weird how being with someone can change you like that. Yesterday, I went to the doctor for a checkup, just to make sure the baby was okay after all the stress. Thankfully, everything's fine. But sitting there in the waiting room, I realize I have to start thinking about what's best for me and my baby. I can't let him drag us into a life I don't want. And then, today, something happened that changed everything. I was at the grocery store, just picking up some things, when I saw him again. He was with that same woman, and they were laughing, looking all cozy. I felt sick to my stomach. But then, out of nowhere, this old lady came up to me. She must have seen the look on my face, because she just took my hand and said, "Dear, you deserve happiness. And sometimes that means walking away from what's hurting you." It was like a light bulb went off in my head. I went home, packed up all his stuff, and left it outside the door. I changed the locks, too. When he came back, he was shocked. He tried to apologize, said he'd made a mistake, but I was done. I told him I was keeping the baby, but he was out of our lives for good. He didn't take it well, but I stood my ground. My sister was there with me, backing me up. It's been a tough week, but I feel like I've woken up from a bad dream. I'm going to stay in Sweden, raise my child here, and go back to being the strong, independent woman I was before. I've already reached out to some old friends from university, and they're helping me find a job. It's going to be hard, but I'm ready for it. I'm ready to start fresh, just me and my baby. Thank you for reading. Aita for letting a man I met online visit me, only to discover he's using me to spite his ex. I have been chatting with a man online who lives in a different state than me for the last 4 months. We have been talking every day online and on the phone for hours at a time, and we decided to meet today. He drove 8 hours to see me, and we arranged to meet at a coffee shop at 2 p.m. He calls me and tells me he drove all night to see me, and he arrived at 7 a.m. I had things on in the morning and wasn't able to leave to see him straight away. I did cancel some appointments and was in a hurry to try to see him earlier. I get an angry call from him at 11:45 a.m., asking how much longer I'll be and where I am. I said I'm leaving in 30 to 45 minutes, and I will see him soon. 15 minutes later, he calls again and starts shouting at me, saying I'm playing games with him and he is sick of waiting for me. He says I'm driving home and forget the coffee date. I managed to calm him down and left what I was doing. I was getting my hair done, and left to see him immediately. When I got there, he was cold and angry, and he said, "You're not what I want. I don't want a woman who takes forever to come to me." I tried to explain to him that we arranged to meet at 2 p.m., and just because he decided to drive all night to see me and arrive early, that was great. But I couldn't drop everything to see him. He was so angry that he was rude to the staff as well, and he was complaining that the coffee wasn't good and it was cold, etc. Everything was bothering him, and in the end, he just left me there and said he is leaving, he is going home. My heart is broken as I spent 4 months getting to know this man. So many hours online and on the phone, and this is how it ended. He said he felt that if I was serious about him, I would have arrived within 2 hours of him arriving instead of coming at the time we had both arranged. Am I in the wrong and I messed all this up? Should I have done something different and the outcome would be different? Edit. Wow, thank you so much to each and everyone who took the time to post comments and advice. I'm reading each and every comment, and it's helping me a lot. This man has told me he's had 2 failed marriages and a string of failed short-term relationships. He reckons he's fussy and no woman meets the standards he's seeking. It's all starting to make sense now. I had my rose-colored glasses on as I really liked the person he portrayed himself to be. Edit #2. He's back on the singles site this morning, looking for love. LOL. Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. I wouldn't have canceled my plans for him. He knew the plan was to meet at 2, and I would have reminded him of that. He was testing you. Testing how submissive and easy to control you are. How easy it is to make you drop your work, friends, and family for him, to isolate you. I wouldn't be surprised if he messages you again after punishing you for a while with silent treatment and gives you unrealistic rules and expectations that would serve him. Block him to make sure he doesn't do that. Comment 2. Your heart is broken? Over a 4-month chat on the internet with a man that turned out to be a 52-year-old blowhard toddler pitching a tantrum? Holy crap, you dodged a bullet. This man was a giant red flag in human form. This is cause for celebration. Go outside and twirl around in the sunlight, secure in the knowledge that you lost nothing worth having. And then read this. Now for the update. Thanks for sticking around for more of my saga. So, after the coffee shop disaster, I thought that was it. But no, life had more in store for me. A week later, he sends me a message out of the blue, apologizing. Said he was stressed and took it out on me. I should have ignored him, but I didn't. We started talking again. Big mistake. He said he wanted to make it up to me, even suggested coming back to my state. I told him no, that if he wanted to see me, I'd go to him this time. I wanted to be in control, you know? So I took a weekend off and drove to his place. It was nice at first, but then I found out why he was so keen on me visiting. Turns out his ex-wife was living in the same town, and he wanted to make her jealous. I was just a pawn in his little game. I felt so used. But that's not even the worst part. While I was there, I ran into an old friend from high school who also happened to live in the area. She told me some stories about this guy that made my skin crawl. He wasn't just fussy. He was notorious for manipulating women, and his ex-wife, she had a restraining order against him. I was horrified. I confronted him about it, and he didn't even deny it, just shrugged and said that everyone has a past. I left immediately, feeling like a complete fool. I drove home with a mix of anger and shame, but here's where I really messed up. I got home and there was a message from him, saying he was sorry and that he'd come to my state to prove his love. And I said yes. I can't believe I did that, but I did. He showed up and it was like he was a different person. Charming, attentive, the man I thought I knew from our calls. We spent a week together and it was like a dream. He talked about moving to my state, starting fresh. I was swept up in it all. Then, one day, I got a call from my high school friend. She was frantic, telling me that his ex-wife had gone missing. And guess who was the prime suspect? Yeah, him. I didn't want to believe it, but the evidence was piling up. He had an alibi, of course, but it was flimsy. I was torn between the man I thought I knew and the reality that was staring me in the face. The next day, the police showed up at my door. They were looking for him. He had slipped out early in the morning, and I had no idea where he was. I was questioned for hours, feeling like my life was falling apart. They eventually found him, and he was taken into custody. His ex-wife was found too, thank goodness, alive but shaken. It turned out he had taken her, trying to get back at her for some perceived slight. Now I sit here, feeling like the biggest idiot. I let my guard down, let him back into my life, and it could have cost someone their life. I was so caught up in the romance, the attention, that I ignored all the red flags. So that's where I'm at, trying to pick up the pieces of my dignity and move on. I've learned my lesson the hard way. Never again will I ignore the warning signs. And to think I was considering letting him move in with me. What a disaster that would have been. Thanks for reading. I guess I just needed to vent. Aita for separating from my husband. After he preferred his coworkers' cooking over mine. I want this to be quick. I feel really weird about this, and I'm on the verge of asking for a separation. So, I've been with my husband for 15 years, married for 11. Amazing relationship, small bumps of course, but nothing like this. I've always made lunch for my husband to take to work, and up until a little over a month ago, that was fine. Middle of March, he said that a new Turkish food stand opened up outside of his office, and that he had been eating lunches there instead because they were good. All right, no problem. So he just completely stopped asking for lunches? I had maybe packed 5 during this time frame for him, but I'm not even sure he was eating them now. So on Thursday, I was at home working and I had a phone call from him. I thought he was calling during his lunch, but he had butt dialed me instead. At first I didn't hear much, just him talking to someone, and I was about to hang up until I heard a woman's voice as well. I wouldn't say I'm a jealous person, but I was a little bit curious, so I muted my call at work and listened. It was just standard conversation at first. He was praising this woman's cooking a lot, which of course made me realize that he was eating lunch this coworker made. I was a bit peeved, but there's an explanation, sure. Although that went out the window when she said, "Is it better than your wife's?" To which he replied, "Oh yeah, without a doubt. I mean, it's not tasteless for a start," followed by laughing. First of all, what the frick is that supposed to mean? 15 years of cooking and now he has a complaint? And not even to me, but some coworker. Also, that absolutely isn't innocent on her end, right? I'm not crazy in thinking that's so weird. Why even bring me up? Anyway, I raised hell, ended the call, sent him a message, not to worry about my tasteless cooking anymore, and that he can eat from the bin from now on. He's apologized, said that he loves my food, and was just trying to seem cool in front of his coworker. I asked why he lied about where he was getting lunch from. He said that initially, he did get it from that stand. But the coworker started offering, and he didn't want to tell me because he thought that I would get jealous. Yeah, can you blame me? So I've been ignoring him since. I'm still pissed, to be honest. I haven't made him lunch or dinner, only for myself, since he said that he dislikes it so much. He said today that he's apologized, and that I shouldn't keep punishing him. But I'm literally an inch from going to my mom's. I have a suitcase with my clothes packed under our bed, ready. Dad thinks it was a stupid comment, but that I should work it out. Mom is on my side regardless of my decision. I'm thinking about leaving for a few days, at least. Maybe a separation. But I honestly just want some reassurance, if that's what's best here. Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Wait, is it better than your wife's? He is cheating. She wants to be compared to you and to win. If he has not cheated yet, he is well on the way to it. That's why he is already lying about where his food is coming from and who he is spending time with. Comment 2. If he is not cheating on you with his much younger coworker, he wants to or is trying to. Man, my female genitalia would dry up and blow away in a puff of dust over such classic creepy older dude behavior. You are not overreacting. You are underreacting. Now, for the update. Thanks for all the comments on my last post. Things have only gotten worse since then. After I packed my suitcase, I decided to stay a few more days to see if things would cool down. But they didn't. My husband kept trying to make things right, but I just couldn't shake off the feeling that there was more to the story than he was letting on. Then, 2 days ago, I made a mistake that changed everything. I decided to confront the coworker. I showed up at his office during lunch, and there she was, handing him a plate of food. I lost it. I didn't yell or make a scene, but I asked her point blank why she was so interested in feeding my husband. Her answer was a punch in the gut. She said, "Because he asked me to." I felt like I was in a bad dream. My husband had lied again. He hadn't just accepted her food. He had asked for it. I couldn't even look at him. I just turned around and left. I didn't go to my mom's, though. Instead, I checked into a hotel to clear my head. The next day, I went back home to find my husband had packed his things. He left a note saying he needed some time to think and that he was sorry for everything. I was alone with a mix of anger and sadness swirling inside me. I tried to focus on work, but I couldn't. I kept replaying everything in my head. I thought about our 15 years together, all the good times, and how it had come to this. I remembered how we met, at a friend's party, how he had made me laugh, and how safe I had felt with him. Now, that safety was gone. I called my mom, and she told me to come over, but I wasn't ready to face anyone. I felt ashamed, like I had failed somehow. I was also jealous, which was a new and bitter feeling for me. I had always trusted my husband, and now that trust was broken. Yesterday, I went back to the office to collect my thoughts and maybe find some closure. I saw the coworker again. She looked uncomfortable when she saw me. I didn't want another confrontation, so I just walked past her. But then she followed me and said she was sorry, that she didn't know he was married. I didn't know what to believe anymore. I spent the rest of the day in a daze. I couldn't eat, couldn't sleep. I just kept thinking about what I should do next. I felt like I was at a crossroads with no idea which path to take. Today, I made a decision. I called my husband and told him I wanted a separation. It was the hardest thing I've ever had to do. He tried to talk me out of it, but I was firm. I told him I needed time and space to figure things out. So, Here I am, sitting in an empty house, feeling like my whole world has been turned upside down. I never thought I'd be in this position, but life has a way of surprising you. I'm not sure what the future holds, but for now, I'm just trying to take it one day at a time. Thanks for reading. If you like this video, you'll probably like these too. Also, while you're here, please consider subscribing. It's your support that keeps this channel alive and allows me to make better and longer videos. Have a great day.